If anybody's got a 1099A, 1099B, and 1099C, pull them out, because I'm going to show you something on there. Okay?
Okay.
On the 1099A, the lender, the identification number for the lender says lender's federal identification number. The borrower just says borrower's identification number. The federal is the Federal Reserve Bank. That is the federal routing number. You don't have a federal number. Okay? So you're not the lender. You are the borrower. Not you, but your fictional person is the borrower. Okay? Same thing holds true with the 1099-D. We're not the payer. The Federal Reserve Bank is the payer. We are the payee. You do a certificate and send it in, like a certificate of title to your vehicle, for the value of it, and most certificates have a value written right on them, but they have to broker that certificate because it's going to have more value if you've had the car more than 7 years, at least 7 years. So it'll come out more value than what the value on the certificate says. Anytime we turn a certificate in, they're going to have to broker it. The Federal Reserve Bank will be the one to do the 1099-B and the 1099-A. Now, on the 1099-C, the same thing holds true there. They are the creditor. Our fictional person is the debtor. Easily identified by the word federal in the identification number. That's why we never got anything, because we were always putting ourselves into the federal limelight, and we're not. Now, some people may have gotten something through. I don't know.
Kayla.
Doing that, the 1099-A. But basically, we don't do the 1099-A. Someone's got their speaker on and got feedback.
That's Kayla.
Okay?
Adam.
Awesome, Mr. Kayla.
Okay. Okay, I don't hear any feedback now, so I guess
No.
it's stopped.
Right, I got it.
Okay? We take the certificate of live birth. That is a per Title 46, like what I said before. But we don't do the 1099-As. We take that certificate and we send it into the Federal Reserve Bank for a draw. That is a coupon. The Federal Reserve Bank is MGM Grand or Caesar's Palace or Excalibur. They're a casino. Even the state that you're in is basically just a big casino. You're out here playing different gambling games in the process. The only thing is, you don't know how to gamble. And they're going to fleece the living shit out of you. But that's all it is. It's all about gambling, wagering. Buy these insurance policies, Fidelity, and then the guarantee process. Good example of what goes on out in Vegas. Most of the casinos were built not on craps, blackjack, baccarat, any of those games. What they were built on was the slot machines, the one-armed bandits. Well, guess what? The biggest one-armed bandit out here is the FDIC. Yeah, they insure your account for, now it's up to $250,000, but you're already insuring your own account. You put the money into the bank, they take that money out and put it into a reserve, and they turn around and give you token money, debt money. But your real deposit doesn't pay for anything. It's sitting over there in a reserve. And then you walk away and abandon that reserve, that FDIC bank account, because it's registered under your bank account number. And you abandon it. Take a look at the structure of the FDIC. It's massive. It is a juggernaut unto itself. It's almost like a country within a country. Social Security, the same damn way. It's a juggernaut out here. Where are they getting their money? From the one-armed bandits that they're fleecing the people out of. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, these mortgage companies. Basically, you turn around and the bank gets you to abandon your title to the property. They go and they pick up all the funds that are sitting in the reserve. They put a claim in with the Federal Reserve Bank. You've got too many accounts out there. So I'm going to only try and explain the simple one to you. And then you can just go and try and learn how to play craps and baccarat and a few of the other games out there. But just try and go with the one for the slot machine. Okay?
Okay.
The certificate of live birth. Okay? That is a merchant marine discharging coupon. The book entry is in the county records. It's also at the Federal Reserve Bank in Philadelphia, in the Treasury Direct, under that registration number that's on your certificate of live birth. That's a book entry security. But the Secretary of the State can authorize at the state level and at the county level to issue a coupon to you for that certificate of live birth. The red number or black number, whatever, that is not the registration number, but another number that's on there, that is your coupon number. You go out to Vegas. You go to the casinos out there. They give you a coupon. One of the things that they want to do when you utilize the coupon is possibly get you to initial that coupon so that that coupon isn't used, but they know that somebody did use it so they can adjust their books. So, that certificate of live birth is going to be basically a Merchant Marines discharging coupon draw. And then you send it to the Federal Reserve Bank that services your state, your birthing state. Because that's where the main item is that they can process that through. Now, if you go to another state, and after 120 days, they want you to register into that state if you've been there for 120 days and get a driver's license. Now you've checked into that hotel. You are now a resident of that hotel. After 3 days, then basically you are no longer a guest. You are now a resident member of that hotel. Now the hotel management is responsible, is the obligator to make the payments for you, because they're utilizing your assets. The song Hotel California, you can check out anytime. Listen to this song again. Those lyrics are very, very powerful if you understand them. But you put in your Merchant Marines discharging coupon draw, utilizing your estate EIN primarily, and your Social Security person. You come in and basically you're the authorizer as the individual banker because you are the fiduciary over them. So you formulate your endorsement on the back, and you have to give that document an endorsement, endorsing it over to the Federal Reserve Bank. Now they have to make the payment to you, and this is a banking transaction, so it's got to be settled in 3 days. They should be either cutting a Treasury check back to you by way of the Department of the Treasury, or if you put on your endorsement there to deposit into your account, do a wire transfer or whatever, a direct deposit, you can put your bank's name, the routing number for that bank, and the account number that you want to deposit it into. You can also turn around and you can basically have this made into a payment to a third party to buy a vehicle or buy property or whatever, and have it transferred to them if they want to give you their bank routing number and their account number. you can put it on there. If they don't, then you just have a treasury check sent to them. A lot of people are very skittish about giving out their routing number and their account number at the banks. So, it all depends on whether they think they can trust you or not in putting this in. There again, settlement, basically, with the bank has to take place within 3 days. They have to get the check back in the mail. It may not be in the hands of the dealership in 3 days. You may have to wait the full 10 days. You go to the Attorney General's office with your bills and you put the endorsement onto them. See, after you now become a resident of the state, now the Attorney General has to settle the bills for you when you present the bills to them. He has to adjust the books. Because now you are a member of that motel. And they take that out of the customer assurance fund reserve that they're holding on a yearly basis. Now, if the bill is over a year old, then you turn around and do a draw against the Federal Reserve Bank. But you can always make the draw for more than what the bill is. Be practical, okay? Take out $1 million or $2 million, whatever. If you don't think that's practical, go for $500,000 or $250,000. Whatever you feel comfortable that you can handle. But that's what you've got to do in looking at this. Then you get a treasury check, like for $1 million or a couple million. Then you can go down and try and open up your private or special deposit account at a commercial bank that has that capability. Not all banks do. And most of them are not going to do anything for you unless you show them you have something of value that they want to deposit. Watch the movie Brewster's Million. Or Millions, or whatever it was. The movies have told us a lot. The songs have told us a lot. The documents have told us a lot. We just didn't see what we were looking at. One of the key things was that Title 46. I don't think anybody else out there ever talked about Title 46 of the gurus out there. Why? Because they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They were led down the merry path by a bunch of deceivers out here in the process. We tried to follow a lot of what these other people have been putting out for years. only to find out that they were definitely wrong. They may have got something here and there, but they never told the whole story of how they got it. They were always wishy-washy in the results. I've had hospital bills set off, traffic tickets set off by the Attorney General's office, but I never got anything back from them saying that it was done. Why? Because they don't want the word out. Now, the 1090, you do this coupon draw. The Federal Reserve Bank is supposed to send you the B copy of that 1099A showing that it was adjusted. Whether they do or not, they may not send it to you. If they don't send you one and they don't make the payment to you, then you can go in and fill out one and put it in against them that they are withholding that from you. And let the IRS go and collect it on the 1041 form. For the most part, the lender is supposed to do the 1099A. But as a last resort, we could turn around and put it in if they do not comply. Because we need to have that on the 1041 to put our claim in to get the reimbursement from the 1041. But you have to fill it out right. You're not the lender. You're the borrower. Or your fictional person is the borrower. The Federal Reserve Bank is the lender. And then one of the other key things on there is the borrower or is the debtor personally liable for the repayment? No. You're only getting back, when you do this, your lawful currency back from them that they're holding in reserve. They want you to play with the funny money, but you want to check out and go to a different casino. So you basically go to the cashier's cage, cash in your tokens at this casino, and then go over to another casino and put your cash down and buy their tokens. But see, nobody's been cashing out their tokens from the state that they just left or from the bank that they just left. A lot of this I know because basically I had one hell of a good college education of gambling at all the different casinos, some of them even around the world. In Macau, in Hong Kong, over in the Orient. Basically, I've been to a few different places outside the country. But that's what it's all about. It's all about gambling. But it's about insurance. And see, almost every gambling game in Vegas there has an insurance. Blackjack. Insurance. craps. Basically, you can put down a different bet to sort of ensure the item that you've got going. So you sort of offset your loss. And you thought that gambling was all evil. Well, basically it is. But you've been operating in the biggest evil system going. There's a lot more to a lot of these accounts out here that are there. You can use your certificate of live birth now as a book entry or as a coupon, a discharging coupon. Get some funds ahead. Then later on, when you sort of feel that you're set up a little and you're able to take out the whole account, but don't go after the whole account right now. You're not ready. Then you turn around and you do an estoppel by deed and a banker's lien against that certificate or against your letter's patent and put it in to the Federal Reserve Bank. You put it into the county records, noting that you have control over that. Then that will take you out of the public system into the private. You would send a copy of that along with your endorsed closure certificate of live birth to the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, Treasury Direct, to close down that public account and move it over into the private, into the de jure Treasury of the United States of America. Then you would get a different drawing rights to the Treasury of the United States of America. The same thing is for someone that has a active military bounty land, DD 214. Now, there's one of the guys that just has a D4 form. He got out on an honorable discharge, medical-wise, so he still does have a account with that honorable discharge. But it's a very limited one. It's not going to be the full value of what someone who has a DD 214 and served the full term. They would still have to be processed for closure to the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, Treasury Direct. But now when you deposit that DD 214, you can't do the D4, but you can do the DD 214 and deposit that into your county record books, either as a merchant marine document, book entry document, or as a military discharge. Like here in the state of Iowa, that's what they call the book they put it in, military discharge book. Now, you put it into the merchant marine, they should give you a coupon book with coupons in it. Here in the state of Iowa, with the military discharging record, they will print out as many DD-214s as I want, free. That is the coupon. And then I would process that through the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, because that's the bank that services the state of Iowa. That Federal Reserve Bank will still go into the assets by way of the Social Security number on those DD-214s. But when you go to the Philadelphia Federal Reserve Bank, Treasury Direct, you're going to be going in under your selective service number. That is the letter's patent number on the DD-214, or that would be attached to that DD-214. Some of them have it, some of them don't. So you need to know what your selective service number is. But that selective service number only gets activated if you did active military service. 2 years and got an honorable discharge. Some of the other games that are out there are basically the Department of Health and Human Services, Medicare, the Social Security, that's a game. The Department of Defense, that's a game that's using our assets. The Department of State by way of the U.S. passport, that is another gambling table. The Department of Veterans Affairs, that's another gambling table for me. The U.S. Postal System Department, that's another gambling table. The account number under that one is your zip code plus your 4-digit box number. That is the account that basically the U.S. Postal System is operating under, having a fidelity bond against that 9-digit account number. And then they have the guarantee, and you go in and you pay 49 cents for a 3-cent stamp. Well, your 49 cents in real money is getting deposited over into the reserve, and they're giving you a token stamp. See, you just don't see the token money in the system. You also, if you have a baptismal certificate, okay, that is going in basically against the Federal Reserve Bank that services that church district. Okay, you'd have to see how your hierarchy in your church organization operates. Then mine in the Roman Catholic, basically I'm in the Diocese of Davenport, but it's under the Archdiocese of Chicago. So there again, my Sesta K baptismal account is there in the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. And you can get as many copies of that baptismal certificate as you want. That is another discharging coupon. And then basically, since everybody in this country is supposed to be pretty much classified as a Christian in the endeavor, and a registered U.S. citizen, then basically you're also attached to the Cestacate account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York by means of the Church of Rome, which was a creditor to the United States corporation or company. So your church, have a membership in the church. So it's a membership, fidelity, and guarantee company. Your church is. Where at the state, it's a citizenship, fidelity, and guarantee company. You have a citizenship. And you are the merchant seaman on that ship. It's a one seaman vessel. The certificate of title to your vehicle, basically the Department of Transportation, is a fidelity and guarantee company. The fidelity policy is basically the entry, the value of that vehicle when it was brand new. And it hasn't been cashed in yet. You can take that certificate and turn around and send that into the state Federal Reserve Bank that services that state. You endorse it over to them to do a liquidation of that security. Then they would have to do the 1099-B, because in most cases it's going to be more than what the face value of that security is. Court cases, pretty much the same way. They're book entries. But now if they're during the year, you can basically turn around and take that court case, that traffic ticket, and send it up to the Attorney General's office. Your marriage license, that had two policies in it, one for the man and one for the woman. But now, with what the ruling of the Supreme Court, it's going to be one for the man and one for the man, or one for the woman and one for the woman type scenario, so that they can get a more access to more funds in the process. Evil begets evil, as the old saying goes. And when they start down that road, basically, there's no turning back to them. The moral decay will continue until basically it just totally destroys itself. Yeah, like traffic tickets. You have an appearance bond. So the appearance bond basically is being held at the Federal Reserve Bank. That's where you have to go in and put a claim in for that amount, for the appearance bonds. By way of, in most cases, if it was done by the 9-digit number that's on the driver's license. that's attached back to the Social Security number. Now, when you put these in, you're going to take the dashes out of the account numbers, like the Social Security number. You take the dashes out of it, so it doesn't appear as a Social Security number. Now it appears as an account number. You have different things like at a different regional bank, and basically like the Social Security may not be at your state bank where your Federal Reserve, or your state, the Federal Reserve Bank that services your state, it might be over at another one. In my case, my state is serviced by Chicago, but for Social Security, for care, for income taxes, everything in that regards for me is out of the Kansas City Federal Reserve Bank. You get an IRS bill. You send it into the Federal Reserve to do the set-off. That's what needs to be done. Have them release the funds to set it off. Tom posted up the Federal Reserve routing numbers out there. You just need to do the endorsement properly and basically play around with it, okay? Several people will want me to do it for them again. I'm tired of doing all the damn work. It's not that hard to do an endorsement, to think about this. And if you guys can't start thinking, you're beyond hope, because you're just going to screw it up down the road. I've gotten you this far, and that is farther than anybody else will ever get you. You're there at the door. Now all you have to do is just do a little work and get across the threshold. The Social Security used my account. I stopped it. I got 2 Social Security payments back in 2011. I stopped it after 2 payments. I thought I stopped it. Well, it didn't stop. They continued to draw out processing and utilizing that for their benefit the whole time. I called them up about 2 months ago. Yeah, you've got about $60,000 plus coming to you. Well, they kept hemming and hawing around. And basically, I don't think it was until I put in a fax into the Social Security fraud commissioner or general addressing what had been taking place against my account, and then basically it seemed like they started operating. I got a letter from them, and basically now it's $73,000 they owe me. And they were going to send that out supposedly by check. Well, they weren't going to send it by check. They were going to put it in my Direct Express account. And it should have been there a couple days ago, but they had the wrong account number. I called up and basically my local office. The girl basically checked on it yesterday and found out that they'd used the wrong account number for my Direct Express card. So they were correcting that, and it should be deposited within 2 days. Hopefully it's done before Friday, or else I'm going to have to wait until next week, since we got a 4-day banking holiday. But when you complain, you need to complain the right way and to the right place. And don't be afraid of complaining. You're the customer. You're the guest in this casino. Tell them the goddamn food sucks. Maybe you'll get better service. But unless you put your complaint in, you're not going to get the proper service. And then you've got to know how to play the games. And there is not a very good rule book on these games that they have. You've got to sit down and think logically how you would do it if you were in charge of this. That's the only way you're going to be able to break it down. In other words, you've got to start thinking for a change instead of letting somebody else do all the thinking for you. The term for that is cheaters. Just like in school. Copying off of someone else's homework. Because you didn't want to take the time yourself to go out and find out the truth. And it's not that damn hard, because all of this stuff is right out of the Bible. You need your 3 wise men, your estate person, your foreign grantor person, and then your banker person. In the Bible, 2,000 years ago, the 3 wise men, one had frankincense, one had myrrh, and the other had gold. The frankincense is basically your foreign grantor trust person. That is the fidelity part of this corporate company that's operating out here. Now you have control over the fidelity side. The myrrh is basically the estate person, having the control over your reserves, your estate reserves. And then the gold person is basically your individual banker person, who is the fiduciary over the other 2, utilizing the real substance in the process as a private banker operating with real currency. But you can have your real currency converted into debt-free tokens. They look the same, but they play the same too. But they don't get the profit off of them in that regards. So, now you know the game plan. Open it up for comments, Tom.
Hey, Patrick, that's really good news about your Social Security. Can you hear me?
Yeah. But
Okay.
I mean, basically other people have stuff out here too, okay? You've all got stuff that you can get within the next week or so. You got the certificate of live birth. Now you know where to put it in. Now you know how to put it in.
Right.
It's a discharging coupon. You can turn around and put it in for $100,000 or $200,000. Get some pocket change. Then go and buy a bunch more.
Right.
See, for these certificates of live birth, you're paying the VIG up front. It's sort of like you're playing baccarat, okay? That's the best odds game in Vegas, is baccarat. It's between the player and the banker. Now, the banker has just a slight advantage over the player. So basically, if the banker wins, if you win betting on the banker, you have to pay a VIG of 5%. That adjusts the thing to equal to almost par value. Because the banker is going to win slightly more, or may win slightly more than the player. But see, in baccarat, that operates in streaks. Just like the old horseshoe, a penny per nail on nailing the horseshoes on a horse. Basically, by the time you got to the last nail, you basically owned that horse and probably the farm that horse came from by doubling it every nail. I told them one time I was going to the restroom, and they were going to shuffle a new shoe. I told them, well, set it up for about 13 straight players' hands. I came back, and I was betting about $25 a hand. That's about the minimum at the table, unless you find a $5 table in some casinos. And if I would have let that $25 ride, I would have been very rich. Because it did come up 13 straight player hands. But I pulled down after about 5. I came out ahead, but basically I didn't come out ahead as much as I should have. And I've been in good streaks. I've been in bad streaks. But it's all about aura also, about harmonics. Especially when somebody is riding a high, you back them when you see what's going on. Some guy was celebrating his birthday one day, and he was just having a good time. He couldn't lose, but he's only playing like a couple bucks on the damn crap table. Well, I started backing him pretty heavy. I turned around and gave him about $300 when he sevened out, because I'd made quite a bit off him. Always tip in the process when you're gambling. Watch the movie The Good Thief. There's some key things in that movie. Nick Nolte plays the good thief. Now, several of Nick Nolte's movies pointed out a few things in the moral structure, too, in this process. There's ways to defeat these casinos. You've just got to be smarter than the average player in the endeavor. And then you can get your stuff and leave before they seven out. Okay. Questions, comments, whatever.
Any questions, guys?
Well, I'm just glad to hear it, and it's like the road's really smoothing out. Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, it's up to you guys now to make it, to get across the threshold.
Yeah.
To break the tape. To bring it on home, as the saying goes.
Okay. So we should start with a draw off the certificate of live birth.
I don't care what you start with, Tom. I recommend doing one with the certificate of live birth for something to get some funds.
Right.
Hell, half the people have a damn computer that's basically crap. They need to get some funds to even eat, okay? So get some damn funds. Now I've told you how to do it.
You said that other number that's on the certificate is like the coupon number.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the coupon number for basically using it as a discharging coupon, because you're a merchant marine. You are not the merchant marine, but your fictional person is.
Right.
And then you just do the endorsement for so much. $50,000, $100,000, whatever you feel comfortable with. Then you can open up just a regular commercial bank account until basically you get your feet on the ground and understand, and then basically go after a little more. Get the damn private bank or the special deposit account, and then basically go after the big one. You're going to also need to do that estoppel by deed in against your birth certificate, and I would recommend you get with the county recorder's office and find out what they need to have to put a document against that. Some states, they call it a joiner form, joining the living with the dead. That's what basically Florida and I think South Carolina, people there said that's the forms they use. Here, basically, you do your own write-up, and it's going to cost. It cost me $12 to put this in back into the county recorder's office. She should be getting it tomorrow. And then essentially when you do that, it also goes up to the Secretary of State. And now since you've done your estoppel by deed, you have placed an estoppel against all the other estoppels out there. And see, that was in Black's dictionary, the definition of estoppel against estoppel. And that basically two estoppels can cancel each other out, or if one is a superior estoppel, it can take precedence over all others. And that's what we're doing with the estoppel by deed. We now have them stopped. We have estopped them. Now you don't need a driver's license. Now you don't need all this other stuff, because you have basically taken control of your deeds, especially this main deed you have, this land letters patent deed. And supposedly that's what, along that same lines, is what some people up in Alaska have done. And one of the guys out in Washington was helping them with that. But I don't know whether they did this exactly this way or not. But they put something into the county records, and basically then they essentially were out of the system. But they don't know the rest of the system on how to get the funds out. Anybody else out there have any questions? *6 if you want to talk. And if you do, make sure you speak up.
I guess not, Patrick.
How many people you got on the call?
We have 19 on the call. It's been around 19 to 23. And some people have trouble with pre-conferencing, get dropped off and come back in.
Okay. Well, hopefully people listen to this more than once and basically get a handle on this.
Yeah, this is a pretty compact call, Patrick. I'm really going to have to go through it carefully.
But it's not that damn hard, okay?
Yeah.
No, but it's fairly logical, but it's a lot of detail you presented to us today.
Yeah. The only thing you need to really concentrate is on what you need to do to make an endorsement.
Right.
And then you send that into the Federal Reserve Bank, and I'd send it in just certified mail.
Okay.
So, like when you said about doing a certificate of title, we send that to the Federal Reserve Bank. Should we copy that and give it to the Secretary of the State or something? probably a good idea.
For what? The title of the vehicle?
Yeah. We're going to send it to the Federal Reserve Bank, you said.
No, you send it to the Federal Reserve Bank. You don't need to send it to Secretary of State.
Okay. All right.
Where'd that certificate come from? It didn't come from the Secretary of State.
I don't know.
It came from the Department of Transportation.
Right. Oh, so then the Federal Reserve Bank will inform others about it being pulled off the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be cashed out. So basically the Department of Transportation can no longer utilize it.
Right.
They have no more security to draw against. See, that is being used as a trade acceptance.
Right. So we should do an estoppel by deed to that too?
No.
No. Just
You do the estoppel by deed against the main land letters patent deed.
Right.
That takes control over all others.
Okay.
The Social Security account, everything else, because they're all derived their substance from that one main one.
Okay.
And that's what will happen when you close this thing down. Huh?
That's still something we should do right away, the estoppel.
Well, yeah, work on it, okay? But basically the one thing you can do right away is the certificate of live birth, or if you got military, you can do a DD-214, or get it into the county records and get the coupon book in some states and put that into the Federal Reserve Bank that you have that recorded at and do a draw against that for so much.
Yeah, like you were saying, see, I was born in Michigan, but I lived in Florida for like 18 years. So here I am in Florida. I have a Federal Reserve Bank, but it's just a branch bank. It's not the main one. The main one's in Atlanta. So I don't know if I could take it down to Miami and try it with a Michigan birth certificate.
Basically, if you're a resident there, they have been utilizing your item. They can basically cross over to that other Federal Reserve Bank. But you're now a resident in Florida if you've been there over 120 days and you've got a driver's license.
Right.
See, as soon as you got that driver's license, they started utilizing that. So basically that now it became a trade acceptance because you gave them a foreign granting in the process of roughly an insurance policy of around $11.2 million. Just like your marriage certificate. You may have been married in a completely different state. Neither one of you may be in that state now, but it may not have even been your birthing state. Either one of you.
Right. And you said the value of the title would increase with age. Like if my truck was 12 years old, paid off, 8 years ago, and the original purchase price may have been $20,000, what would it be now, you think?
You don't know, okay?
Yeah.
You put the security in, they will broker it for you.
I see. Yeah.
They will do the 1099-B. They know what the security's worth. Because they're holding it in reserve. See, the usage of that vehicle in the process has to increase. There's a payment, an interest payment for the usage of that.
Right. We've been taking care of it. We've been, changing the oil, watching it.
No, I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm
No.
talking about the DOT utilizing that as a trade acceptance out there to build the damn highways.
Oh, yeah.
That's the collateral that they're using. Now, they use that as collateral for their bonds that they wrote to build the highway, build the bridge, whatever.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Now, they sell those bonds, and part of that interest off those bonds comes back in, and it goes over to the collateral usage for that vehicle as a trade acceptance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
See? That's what I'm saying. You guys don't understand how to play the game fully yet.
Nope.
You've got to sit down and think about this stuff. I've talked about a lot of this stuff over the years.
A trade acceptance means we gave them access. Yeah.
That's what they use, yes, and that goes all the way back to 1916, and basically, Warburg basically had an article on that, talking about the trade acceptances. And there was a sale, a pitch by him to try and get the people to utilize the trade acceptances. Old Henry Ford didn't want to do that. But they blackballed him. All the bankers wouldn't help him in the endeavor, so he had to cave in to it to be able to get the funding to keep his Ford Motor Company afloat. And basically, at that point in time, they were using the employees as the collateral in the trade acceptance. And that was one of the big sells about the Social Security. The Social Security was only supposed to be for the manufacturing companies. But they kept pushing it on to everybody else out here under the NFO, the National Farm Organization, in the late 50s and early 60s to get all the farmers into it, because the farmers initially were not supposed to be under the Social Security, because they were supposed to be independent. See, there's a lot of history that people don't look at. History is where you find the answers. Even to following the path of Jesus. All of this is right in the path of Jesus. He came to show us the way in the path, nothing more. And he got a lot of his understanding from his cousin, John the Baptist, who was an insider, who was basically like Halliburton back then, because he was an oil migrant or whatever. He had oil wells or oil fields. And basically the people back then did operate and heat their houses or whatever, shacks or whatever they want to deal, like they used oil.
Well, that's interesting. Jesus learned the ways, or learned the ropes, from John the Baptist.
Yeah, and John the Baptist was an insider, and he spilled the beans to Jesus, his cousin. And what happened to John the Baptist?
Got his head off.
He got blown. He got his head chopped off. What happened to Abraham Lincoln when he started going against them? Abraham Lincoln was an insider. He knew a lot of this stuff that was getting ready to take place, so he tried to put some protections in for the people. So what did they do? They took him out. JFK, same damn thing. everyone, and basically Andrew Jackson, he knew what was going on in the banking system. That's why he was able to put a stop to him. He just lucked out that both guns misfired.
Yeah, that's like divine providence. Same with George Washington. Everybody was shooting at him, and they had him in his sights, and they knew the bullet should have. They thought the bullet went right through him. They thought he was a god. Bullets never hit him, but his clothes had holes in it. I know.
Well, he might have had an armored vest on too. You don't know the whole story.
Now, Patrick, you have the trade acceptance PDF in the reentry notice folder.
Now, I know I've had a lot of that stuff up there.
Right. You have a couple of forms, and you have the Warburg article there.
Yeah. We've had all the answers there, okay?
Right.
It's been all right there. Okay, now, basically I've sort of tried to pull it all back together for you here in this process, because we even tried to go to the Federal Reserve banks before, but we were doing it wrong. So, okay, any other questions, comments?
Yeah, on the estoppel by deed, you said there was 3 parts. There was the, you're saying that you're stopping them, but you're resurrecting them, and there was something else in the center.
Absolution.
Absolution.
You're giving them absolution. You're forgiving them for their endeavor. And then basically you're ordering them to give you everything back. Release everything back to you, so that you can resurrect it back into the living world. You're claiming that dead body. You're forgiving them for killing that person, and now you're resurrecting it. Whatever you want to look at it, okay?
Right. I know.
Everything operates in threes.
Right. I know. It's just I'm just getting it straight in my head. That's all. It's good to have it right on your tongue, just like you did. I just didn't have it there. Thank you, Patrick.
Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else, call tonight, Tom.
Okay, thank you very much, Patrick.
Okay.
We're gonna do some pitching this week.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, thank you.